Hello, 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 you guys. How are you? How are you doing? Welcome or welcome back to the 13th tense. And today we're talking about describing trends. What exactly are you going to learn today? How to describe trends, graphs, and statics in English. And some key grammar, present simple for trends, adverbs of degree and manner. And of course, 10 essential vocabulary words for data and change, and how to write a confident professional trend description. Ну і як завжди, ви можете знайти цей воркшіт і набагато більше корисних матеріалів в нашому телеграм-каналі або інших соціальних мережах, де 13th tense. Yes? Yes. Ви можете сканувати цей QR-кодик, можете забити цей, ви його знайдете. Well, so let's start with some vocabulary. Increase. Become larger in number or amount. Sales increased by 20% last quarter. Decrease, the opposite, to become smaller in number and amount. The number of users decreased sharply. Fluctuate, to change frequently and irregularly. So basically to increase and then to decrease. To increase and then to decrease, yeah? Prices fluctuate throughout the year. Remain stable, the opposite of fluctuate, to stay at the same level without changing. Unemployment has remained stable for months. Peak, to reach the highest point. Traffic peaks at around 8 a.m. Drop, to fall suddenly to a lower level. Temperatures dropped below zero. Rise, to move upward, to increase. Costs have risen steadily this year. Steadily, gradually and at a consistent rate. The economy has grown steadily. Sharply, quickly and by a large amount, steeply. The graph drops sharply in Q3. Roughly, approximately, not exactly. Roughly 60% of users prefer mobile. And let's go for a little pro tip for you guys. Notice that increase, decrease, rise, drop, peak can all be both verbs, for example, sales increased, actions, yeah, and nouns, items, processes. There was an increase in sales. Those both forms, they will double your flexibility. You already know, like, not just 5 words, but 10, yeah? And let's go. As for grammar, present simple for trends plus adverbs of degree. Why exactly present simple for trends? Why not other tense? Because we use present simple to describe general trends and patterns, not just right now, but kind of always. Data shown on graphs or charts, and facts that are generally true. For example, the graph shows a steady rise in demand. Sales peak in December every year. Prices fluctuate during the summer months. Wonderful. And adverbs of manner and degree. Steadily, gradually, consistently. Prices rise steadily over time. Sharply, steeply, by a large amount. Costs drop sharply in Q4. Slightly, by a small amount. Revenue increased slightly. Dramatically, by a very large or surprising amount. Usage increased dramatically. Gradually, slowly, over time, the trend improves gradually. Significantly, in an important or noticeable way, sales fell significantly. Building a trend sentence. How would you do that? You will have subject, an item, something, the process, sales, the graph, prices, a verb, then action, yeah? Rise, shows, peak. An adverb and adjective. Not always, but it is possible. Steadily, a sharp. And additional info. Also, additional info is not going to be always there, but it is pretty much common when you want to describe a trend. For example, between January and March, drop in user engagement, in August every year. And basically you get sales rise steadily between January and March. Great sentence. Noun, phrase, alternative. For example, instead of saying costs increase sharply, you could say there was a sharp increase in costs, or the graph shows a sharp rise in costs. Those three options are absolutely possible. How are you going to do it? Through there was or there has been. Adjective, noun, in topic, yeah? Some description, some item, process, and extra information. Let's go to a model paragraph and discuss it then. So the graph shows the number of online learners in Ukraine between 2020 and 2024. In 2020, the figures rises sharply. This reflects the impact of the pandemic. After that, it remains relatively stable until 2024, when it peaks at roughly 2.5 million users. Following this, numbers drop slightly before rising steadily again toward 2024. Overall, the trend shows a significant increase in online learning over the period. So, present simple throughout. Shows, rises, remains, peaks, drops, rises once again, yeah? Adverbs give precision. Sharply, relatively, roughly, slightly, steadily. Noun phrase at the end. A significant increase in online learning, yeah? Well, and here are some common mistakes. Sales are increasing in 2021. Sales increased. Yep. There is a past point on a graph, so we will use past simple. The graph shows an increase of sales. The graph shows an increase in sales. Increase, decrease, rise, drop in something. Prices rise dramatic. Dramatic is a person dramatic. For example, I am dramatic, she is dramatic, he is dramatic. But prices rise dramatically. The figure peaks at the highest point of 500. Peaks and the highest point, they have the similar meaning. They have basically the same meaning. So it is kind of redundant. Let's actually reduce one of those. The figure peaks at 500. It is grammatically correct sentence. Why not? It is absolutely correct and understandable sentence, but there is a better option. There was a strongly decrease. There was a sharp decrease, or a strong decrease, yeah, not strongly. And a little quick check. I'm giving you 20 seconds, pause it, choose the best word, and then we will check your answers. Well, I suppose you are done. Let's actually check it out. Sales peak at the end of December, describing a general yearly trend. The number of users increased dramatically from 10,000 to 50,000 in a month. There was a sharp increase in revenue, yeah? Prices fluctuate throughout the summer. The graph shows the costs have risen steadily over the past decade. Wonderful, wonderful, you guys. And you're left with speaking time, speaking challenge, and question. So, could you please look at any simple graph or statistic you can find? It could be in the news, social media, or maybe from your own field, from your own job. And could you describe it in 3-5 sentences using at least 3 trend verbs? Rise, peak, drop, fluctuate, remain stable, or similar. 2 adverbs, steadily, sharply, slightly, gradually, and 1 noun phrase. For example, there was a something. And in the questions, in the comments, it would be great if you described 1 trend you have noticed in your life, your city, or your field of work, and used at least 3 words from today's vocabulary to describe it in the comments. Okay? And as always, I have a little workbook for you. So I'm not going to show it to you as always, but what are we going to do? You're going to go into Telegram channel and you're going to find it in there. Well, and I was really happy to talk to you today, and I suppose I hope to see you next time in the next video. Bye bye!